Alright, this is I guess video number 2. Wanted to show you a little bit of progress here. What I had done at the first video, you saw where I put the pins in there, and what I did is I took some Bondo, and this is getting a little bit dry or hardening a little bit, so it's a little rough, but you can see the little pins just along the edge. I didn't really go above those right now. And what I did was, I'm not sure if you can see this really well, but I had just laid a coat of Bondo over the top here where it was all deteriorated on this side. And you can see I still have, let me get my finger over here. Alright, I still have this side, which was part of the original edge that fortunately was still left. So I have that to work with. What I'll do eventually is just square this off, and if you remember the last video, I was going to put a piece of wood, just a thin layer of wood over this, so as it gets slid around on the carpet or floor, whatever, it won't be just rubbing against all this Bondo. And so what I'll do now that I've got my first coat, let this harden up really good for a couple days, you know, and then by the time I'm ready to get back to it, I'll go ahead and lay another thin coat of Bondo and just get it so I can square it off pretty good. And then I'll go ahead and sand it, you know, and get a nice edge on there. What I did here, if you remember right, this board right here, when I had cut it, put it in the saw, for whatever reason, when it got to this end, it actually had a little you know, it was actually a little thicker, kind of messed up on the cut. So what I did, and I don't know if you can see it, I took a what's it called, a snap line, and you can see that little orange line. And what I did was is I you know, measured from here up to here, and then I measured the distance at the original edge. Let me get this out of here. Original edge here. I measured that, you know, to the distance up to here. Because if you remember right, I'm going to put a piece of wood over. After I get done bondoing it, filling it in, I'm going to put a piece of wood over it so it matches the height of this. That way, the whole console is riding on wood. You know, when you push it around, it'll be sliding around on wood, or you know, moving on wood. So what I did was you know, I measured it out, you know, from the original edge up, marked it off here, and then I took a snap line. It's just a chalk line, and I went ahead and come over here, and I did the same thing with this original edge. You know, I measured it to where it should be, and I marked it on here. Once I did the chalk line all the way down, that gave me the correct height. You know, all across here was level because, you know, this end would be marked, you know, 1/4 of an inch above the actual end. And then when I went down here, I don't remember what the measurement was exactly, but, you know, say 1/4 inch above here. And then I just took a belt sander and ground this down until it was even with the line, and it pretty much went up to about here. So what, you know, and then I just made it level with the line, and also flat. I took a square, you know, put the square up to it. You know, square goes here and, you know, goes up and then 90 degrees. And I just kind of made sure that it was flat all along in here. Pretty easy to do. What I did with the Bondo when I went to put it on, going back to the Bondo, I actually took tape, masking tape, and put a big piece of, let me set this down here, put a big piece of masking tape before I bondoed it, just to cheat a little bit, so it didn't all run down here, and I didn't have to, you know, make sure. As you can see, I got a slightly thick coat on there. I'm sure it's probably thicker than it should be, you know, as far as the thickness of Bondo, you know, the coat that you should lay on it every time. But it'll be fine. But in that way, I put the, you know, masking tape, and it sat up, you know, about this high. That way, when I filled it all in and, you know, kind of filled in up to the masking tape, it wasn't just going to run down the edges or kind of bleed over. And you can see over here what I'm talking about. I've taken the masking tape off, but if you look, you can see the little, let's see if I can get a better, well, can't really see it too good, I guess. But you can see a little lip right here where the masking tape was. And that just keeps it from running over the edge. You can see it better here, but it gives you, gives you a little help in being able to backfill it, because this was pretty far down. Instead of going back and running, thin coats and thin coats, trying to keep it from bleeding down along this edge, dripping. The masking tape kind of cleaned it up. Then what I did was, let me run over back here, is I took a razor, razor blade knife, and once I took the masking tape off, I just kind of, ran it along the edge, carefully cut it, and then what you can do too, also, is just kind of run it along here a little bit. But don't be too worried about, cutting any of it off or whatever, much of it off. You just want to get the majority that's really overhanging, so you're not doing a lot of sanding. And then the same with this, I would just kind of, go along here. You can also, if you want to get close, you can use it for scraping, if you need to. And pretty much that's how I kind of, deal with, I'm sure, people who use Bondo every day, professionals, they're probably, rolling their eyes. But, for somebody who just does it once in a while, you kind of got to go overboard a little bit. I wish I could just, fill it in and get it right the first time. But anyway, that's how I deal with it. I use this. This is pretty good for scraping. If you wanted to get it, you can get an area and scrape it and get it pretty close if you want. Or you can just go ahead and, cut along the edge if you want to get it, cut some of it away. But anyway, next thing I'll do is I will fill a little bit more with Bondo after I cut it and everything. I'll fill it back a little bit with Bondo. Then I'll sand it. And once I sand it, I'll be ready for some spot putty. And the same along in here. Then I'll start, go ahead and, this is the only edge that really rides on the carpet in the front. And this edge right here, and I'll go ahead and fill that in also. My stereo is being worked on right now. So hopefully by the time I get this done and ready, I'm going to try to determine what type of speakers to put in it, what will match with the old tube stereo. And hopefully by the time I get this done, my stereo will be done, and we'll see what happens. Hopefully it will sound good. It will have to have some new parts in it. I'm thinking maybe. I know the caps, the capacitors always have to be replaced. The only problem that I'm a little bit concerned with that is modern capacitors are going to be real high quality as opposed to the older new capacitors. Even when they were new, they were lower quality, and that, believe it or not, actually contributes to some of the good sound quality. You wouldn't think so, but it helps give it that low, nice deep sound, that low continuous background, low frequency sound that I think that people call it the rich sound, that makes them sound so good. So hopefully I will not have sacrificed the good sound from the old parts by putting new parts in it. But that might actually be something that somebody who had a little bit of money could do, and that would be to actually make new parts, but to the same old, low specifications as some of the older parts, and that way you would have absolutely the same quality sound. So anyway, but we'll see. I got to go search for, once I find out what my stereo specifications are, I got to go find some speakers and a turntable. All right, take it easy.